meet people at the 50-yard line. And what I mean by that is not meet people with your agenda. Meet people with something to add value to support their agenda. And a way to introduce that, so we've added an introduction. Hey, I'm Brian. I'm with ABC Real Estate. And, first of all, I want to tell you that I hope you and your family and your loved ones are safe. We're going through some challenging times. I work at ABC Real Estate, and there are buyers out there that want to take advantage of today's low interest rates. They want to maximize their purchasing power because the rates have dropped. It also saves them tens of thousands of dollars in unnecessary interest payments that they'd like to capitalize on. And maybe they just have the need to, they're in a lease that's about to expire and they need to find a property. Conversely, there's sellers in the market today that may be going through a divorce, a job relocation, and they need to sell their home. For those people, I'm not going to abandon you. I'm here for you. I can support you and I can help you. And if you're not one of those people, please don't be offended. But I'm not going to stand by and do nothing when people need my help. So what I'd like to offer you is the following. I'd like to invite you to a Zoom call so that we practice safe social distancing. And if you're thinking about selling your home, we can give you a market update. I can show you what homes in your neighborhood have sold for right on my computer screen so that you have a better understanding of what's going on in the market and you're prepared and positioned when that time comes. I can also give you some inexpensive tips, cheap, inexpensive things that we can do or that you can do to drive up the sales price of your home. And if that would benefit you, I'd love for you to reach out and we can connect on a Zoom call. There's no cost, no obligation for this, by the way. The other thing that I'd like to cover with you on this call and to add value and make a difference in your life, if you find it valuable, is to cover some of the many catastrophic mistakes home sellers make that cost them thousands of dollars in unnecessary expenses as a result of a home inspection negotiation or lost equity in the transaction. So if you want to minimize that, we can cover that too. And then lastly, there are expenses besides commissions and mortgage payoffs that you'd be incurring, and you should know what those are so that you can get your ducks in a row. So if those things would add value to your life and you'd like to learn a little bit about the market while we're having some downtime, send me a private message, give me an email, call me at the contact information below. And like I said, there's no cost or obligation. I'll be happy to talk with you.
Hello?
Yeah, hey there. I'm looking for Justin.
This is Justin.
Yeah, hey Justin. This is Jay. I'm a local realtor and property manager in the area. And I was just calling. I noticed your home had came off the market for sale. And I was calling to see if it had sold or if you were still interested in selling the property.
Yeah, it's off the market. We still would like to sell it, but it's kind of crazy out there right now.
Yeah, it is. It is kind of crazy. Now you had it on the market for like 6 months. What do you think stopped it from selling?
I really wish I knew. I think the agent really didn't give us much information as far as what was happening and why it was happening, and kind of frustrating, actually.
Yeah, you know what? I hear that a lot, Justin. It's the lack of communication that frustrates me about my industry, because there's some great real estate agents out there. And there's, just like in any industry, there's some that just aren't so great. So communication is key. Now, if that agent were communicating with you, or if you had an agent like myself that was giving you that great communication, ideally, what would you like to do? Would you like to still sell the home? And if so, where would you move to?
Yeah, that's a great question. It's hard for us to really see the future right now.
Yeah, I get that. I mean, I know with so many changes, it really is hard to see the future. When it was on the market for 6 months, where were you guys going to move if it had sold?
We were going to move to a little place on the beach.
Hey, no kidding. The beach where?
Delray Beach, Florida.
Oh, good for you. Yeah, I have some friends in that area. What takes you down to Delray?
We're looking to retire,
Okay, a lot of great places to retire. Why Delray?
Sunshine and great restaurants. We have some family down there.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
Okay. What do you have? Do you have kids down there or parents?
My parents, yeah, they're down there.
Yeah, it's good to be closer to the parents. And do you have kids right now, Justin?
I do, yes.
You want to get them closer to their grandparents, don't you?
Every single day.
I totally understand. Hey, look, if we could get this home sold before we have possibly what I'm seeing, some prices going down and inventory going up in the market, if we get you down there in the next, say, 90, 120 days, get your property sold, net you more money than you would in, say, 6 months from now, is that something you'd still be interested in, Justin?
Sure, but what do you mean by prices and going down? Where are you looking for that?
Yeah, exactly. And I definitely want to talk to you about that. So why don't we do this? Why don't we book a time? We can do a virtual listing appointment. I've been doing a lot of these lately. And then we can go over those things, and I can show you how we can move you to Delray so you can finally get your kids with their grandparents and then not have to worry about any of this stuff again. Do you have time later today at 4, or is tomorrow at 6 better for you?
That sounds interesting. Before saying yes, what's a virtual listing or virtual listing appointment? I don't know.
Oh, yeah, of course. Don't worry. I'm going to walk you through all of that. It's basically us face-to-face without being face-to-face. And we'll be able to do it on the computer. I'll walk you through the whole thing. What time is going to work better for you and your wife? Is it going to be today at 4 or tomorrow at 6?
Can I get back to you? I really want to check with my wife to see what her schedule is.
Absolutely. And I want you to check with your wife, too, to make sure her schedule is good. Now, she's probably home a lot like you right now. So why don't we do this? Is 6 o'clock usually better, or is 4 o'clock usually better? Because we can pencil something in, and then you can make sure you confirm with your wife. And if anything changes, then you can let me know.
Yeah.
So today at 4?
Yeah, why don't we pencil in at 6 after dinner and everything's done?
Perfect. We'll do today at 6. I'm going to send you a link in a little bit, and you'll receive a text message from me in just a few minutes. Sound good, Justin?
Sounds good to me.
Great. Can't wait to get you guys down to Delray.
Thank you. Looking forward to it.
And then we went over some scripts, and we went over scripts in a whole different way. I'll share that with you. So we did it like this. So my coach says, here's how we're going to run that script. He said, hello. And I said, hey, I'm looking for Steve. And he goes, I'm Steve. And he goes, stop. And I go, okay. He said, do it again. And he goes, hello. And I go, hey, I'm looking for Steve. He said, I'm Steve. Stop. Do it again. He said, hello. I said, hey, I'm looking for Steve. He said, I'm Steve. Go ahead. And I said, I'm Racer Bakken from Keller Rims Realty. The reason that I called you, stop. And we would do just a piece and a piece and a piece and a piece over and over and over and over. And he said, now be sure you own it over. And pretty soon, my script and the paper on the script on the paper was not the same, but we were going the same direction. And I hadn't said a word in both so far. I've been there 4 weeks. And he said, anybody want to run that script right now? And I said, I bet I got it. And I ran it. And whenever we got done, he goes, whew, I hope you know what you just got. And I said, what? He said, that's going to be your $1 million lesson.
And just call them up and, hey, this is David Knox. I just wanted to check in with you guys and see how are you doing? And then just shut up. They'll drive the conversation. They're going to say, we're scared of this, we're scared of that, we want to move. They're going to say something, and at that point, your best move is to just listen, summarize their feelings, and say, and maybe another wide open question. I'm very much a believer of open questions. Say, how would you guys like to proceed? And let them say, and you're going to get, yes, we want to proceed. We've got to get our home sold. We've got a job. We've got this. We want to move. On the other end, they're going to, you know what? I don't want anybody coming in my house. Can we just take it off the market? Can we withdraw? Can we do whatever and take it off and respect that? There may be those in the middle that ask you for advice. And I've always said giving a client advice gets you in trouble. Giving them feedback is safe. Subtle differences. If I say, hey, turn air conditioning down, that's advice. But if I say, gosh, it's hot in here, I'm giving feedback which would lead someone to the proper decision. So if somebody says, should I buy or sell? Yeah, I think you should keep it on the market and have showings. Well, no, I just say, here's how we're handling showings. Our buyer activity is down by, 11.4%, but we're still averaging X number of interest on the properties. Properties in your price range are still selling, and we're doing showings using what we call safe showing protocol. And, we're doing virtual, we're doing this, and then here's what we're doing. They go, wow, okay, how's that working? For the people who are on the market, it's working very well. And then I can say, well, based on that, we want to do X or Y. So let them make the choices. I don't think this is a time to tell people what to do.
So what happens is that last part of the script gets used everywhere. So that's I know you're asking me what's going on. Maybe I've called you, hey, Justin, how's your family doing? How are your kids doing? Is there anything I can do for you during this time? I can't come over and bring anything, but I'd be happy to, call you at night and we can play games on the iPad if we need to in order to pass the time away. Really try to help you. And then if the subject of real estate comes up, acknowledge things change fast and it's very uncertain. Acknowledge that it's okay for the person you're talking to do nothing, because then it gives them permission to have a conversation with you, thinking you're not going to be salesy, and then tell them how you're helping other people move forward if they want to.
We're calling people that are in our sphere, people that we know, and it looks like, hey, listen, we're just calling to check in on you. How's your family? And you've got to be really ready when you ask that question, because they could say, we're all good. And you say, man, that's so good. I'm glad. You're working, everything going all right. What are y'all doing to pass your time? It's not about business.
And really those insights are what's happening in the market and how can we, as agents, as professionals in the market, make sense of this to ultimately communicate that to our clients. And if you remember back in 2008, there were a lot of questions that people had, and there weren't a lot of good answers at that time of what was going to happen. And out of that crisis, Keeping Current Matters was birthed, and over the last 12 years, we've grown to 25 of what we call the KCM crew that support what we do now, which is bringing insights to agents every day. Probably the most widely read blog in our industry, the KCM blog, is at the cornerstone of that. But every day we're looking at our industry. We're then developing insights that we're publishing as blog posts, as things that agents can share written to the consumer, so that they can be a voice of reason in this market and a voice of calm out there.
Expired as an example, right? And I'm talking to him right now, and typically what I do now to open a call, because I've been hearing it so much, and this has just been an experience from, let's say, if I make 50 calls, I would say at least 30 to 35 people, if I introduce myself, they're immediately going to bring up about the coronavirus. So my opening line goes something like this. I say, look, hey, this is Brian with EXP. Look, I know a bunch of certainty right now, virus, is rampant on the news. By the way, has it affected your family directly? And they'll say, oh, no, it hasn't, but I've read the news. Okay, cool. Now I know that's going on. However, I'm still reaching out to people to, give them a little bit of information. Have you heard anything in regards to how this is going to affect real estate? And they might say, well, I don't know, right? That's for a general cold call. If I'm calling an expired, I'm going to be a little bit direct in the sense that, hey, I'm calling about home XYZ Elm Street. It's expired or it just came off the market. I know everything's crazy right now. What are you guys planning on doing? Oh, Brian, we're thinking about holding off. Got it. Now, are you specifically staying up to date on what's happening day by day now with the real estate market? No. Okay. So what was your plan originally? And I'm going to start talking a little. Oh, we're going to move to Florida. Excellent. You guys wanted to move to what part of Florida? Miami. Great. What was the original time frame? 90 days. Okay. I see here that it was on the market 6 months. Is that right? Cool. Now, based on what's going on, it's crazy. Is that still the plan? If you could still get to Miami, would you, amongst all this craziness? Well, we're not sure because interest rates and we don't know if we're going to get the money. Okay. This is what I can tell you. Expired. Yesterday, we had 300 more properties go under contract. What does that tell you? That the market's still moving right now. Moving forward in the next 30 days, 60 days, 90 days. And by the way, let's say this does blow up and it's crazy. and we end up having a 6-month, 1 year, 2 year, or 3 year halt where real estate isn't moving like it normally moves. Are you comfortable waiting that long to move to Miami? I'm drawing out the motivation, man. If they say totally cool, not a problem, I might talk a little bit more, but then I might put them on a lead follow-up. But no, Brian, I want to be in Miami. I have a job transfer. You know what? I really want to be with my kids, especially during this crazy time. And they give me that motivation. Then that's when I can go in quotes, the kill and say, great. So what I can tell you with confidence, Mr. Expired, right now, I can help you do that. Now, in 3 months, a year, I don't know. Do you have a crystal ball? I don't. But right now, I can help you. So if you want to give this a shot and you still want to make this move, then let's have a chat for 15 or 20 minutes and see if it works for you. And hey, if it doesn't, you can wait. So when are you available? Wednesday at 5 or would Thursday at 6 be better?
Now, the script would be really easy. I'd really dumb down the script because we're looking for people that are motivated to sell their house. And it'd be very easy. It'd just be, hey, this is Jason Morris. I'm with eXp Realty. I seen a while back you had a house on the market for sale. It didn't sell. Do you still want to sell the house? That would be it. Yes or no. If they say yes, I say, hey, well, fantastic. You know what? I had it pulled up on MLS. That's why I wanted to give you a call. I think I know why your house didn't sell. And they go, oh, really? Why didn't it sell? And then you can go to different reasons it didn't sell. Now, right now, we're in a unique time, where you can't run over to their house this afternoon, right?
Right.
So the script's going to have to change a little bit, and you don't go right to setting appointment. On these things, I do minimal qualification and set as many appointments as possible.
And it's not like, hey, fool, you need to sell. I got a buyer. It's more like, hey, man, how's life? How's this affecting you? What can I do to help you? Is there anyone I can connect you with? It's being a connector. It's being that person that's going to try to help another human being if I can in any way, shape, or form. And surprisingly, a lot of people, I've been able to have conversations with them and just be like, is there anything I can do to help you? And people are like, well, not really. And then, or I've got a small business. I'm like, tell me about your business. Tell me about your customers.
You're so good at that. I've seen you do that. I've seen you turn like a limo driver who was a wrong number. I remember that into like a business connection that you went and turned into some sort of transaction. And so I think if there's anybody who knows how to like shift their mindset from just being a dedicated salesperson to someone who's a dedicated service provider, I think it's you. And so let's dive into a little bit more of that, because the beers and calls that you've done on that are just phenomenal. And so give us a little bit more.
Okay. So, I mean, one of the things that I go out there with the mindset of is you have to bless and prosper before profit. Now, I didn't make that up. My father coined that. So if you guys missed that, it's bless and prosper before profit. So look for everything that you can do for another human being before you kind of ever expect anything in return.
By owner, again, it's going to depend on their motivation, and I'm just going to hit them with facts. Say, look, Mr. Seller, you've had the advantage. I see you've been for sale by owner for 2 months now. Get it? Most realtors are just hounding you, and you basically, everybody wants to get a listing, right? Totally get it. Look, would you agree that the market for the last 6, 7, 8 years has just been skyrocketing, right? Well, now we're hitting a point where it's not. Okay, so first and foremost, your last 2 months on the market, how has the experience been? I'm getting a lot of calls. Realtors, right? Have you gotten some lowball offers? Cool. Have you gotten some actual written offers, or have most of them been verbal? Right there. That's a great question to ask the FSBOs, because they'll get verbal offers, but they'll tell you that they got offers. You want to make a clear distinction there, because that's a big difference. Okay, so you got verbal offers. Got it. Okay. Let's say they did a written one. Okay, the written one. How good was it? Oh, well, it was 50,000 below asking. Okay, got it. So you wouldn't take that, right? Cool. Now, moving forward, especially this last week with this whole crisis thing, how has the activity been compared to before? Well, we heard that just yesterday in LA, we had 325 properties go under contract. Just yesterday. Okay, now, and that's amongst this crisis. Right? Before that, it was higher. But now moving forward, what is your plan to adjust for this and actually get this home sold? Cool. So at what point, Mr. Seller, now that we've been talking for minutes, would you be open to at least hearing a second opinion to help you? And I can still go through the rest of the script, man, but that's kind of where I take the conversation with the for sale by owner, because it's like, dude, how has the experience been? Now moving forward, especially with what's happening now, you're going to have to make an adjustment. What adjustments are you going to make for this whole situation?
It's a foundational script that you need to master and engage with. The most important thing is I've got to understand the concern. Okay? I've got to understand the concern. And so in the script, what I'm going to do, hey, when somebody calls me and says, hey, I want to pull out or write pending transaction, I'm going to say it's logical given the news that we've gotten about the coronavirus to have some apprehension and concern, Bob. I totally get that and totally understand that. I'd be worried if you didn't feel a little apprehensive. So it's perfectly normal and natural. Can I ask you, what's your biggest concern? They're going to give me the market's correcting, or it's a listing as an example. They may give me the safety and security concerns of showing activity and having people into my home. The issue, everybody, and let me be straight up with you, unvarnished here. This is not the time for verbal judo reactionary objection handling scripts. This is the time to understand concerns, because there are multiple reasons why a buyer or seller may be wanting to step back. Don't do a general objection handling trying to blanket everything. You're gonna make mistakes. You need to get into the concerns. You need to drive into the concerns and understand the concerns. What is their biggest concern? Great. Are there any other concerns that are as important as this one? Perfect. Share that with me as well. So, right, you have a concern about market pricing, and that's your highest concern, that the market is going to correct. And your next highest concern is, right, that the economy is going to go down. Whatever it is they're giving you, I'm trying to rank them.
So, you know, we are calling people who are actually actively right now trying to rent out some of their properties, and, you know, say, great, you know, you're trying to rent it out. Look, if it doesn't rent out, would you consider selling? Right? Because I'm calling people who are actively trying to rent the property. So I'm coming in from a different angle, because I know typically most people calling them are going to be an agent or somebody looking to rent. And that's how I start that conversation. Some people are interested, some people aren't. Now, if they're showing a little bit of interest, I'm like, okay, cool. So if you were going to sell, is there a price you have in mind? What would be the target? If you pull equity out, would you roll it over into the next property? What's the plan? Is there any properties that you own that you would like to do this on, or that you would consider it on? My whole point isn't necessarily just to get a sale from it. A lot of people own multiple properties, so that might not be the opportunity. But I've got many that say, hey, glad you called. I'm actually looking at selling my other property. It's on the other side of town. That's a triplex. Boom, there you go. Now, with the cold, we absentee owner call. There's a few angles that I use when I call them. I'm very direct when I do call them in the beginning. If it was Bob, I'd be like, hey, Bob, my name is Brian. I'm with EXP. Look, I'm calling about your property, 155 Elm Street. I'm just calling to see if you've considered maybe selling it now or in the near future. And that's how I open the conversation. They tell me yes, no, whatever. And I have a very basic script that I follow. How long have you owned it? How did you decide to purchase in that area? And ultimately, if you were to sell, what would cause you to sell? What price would you want if you did sell it? Okay. That's the beginning portion of the script. As I get deeper into it, if I'm talking to them and they're entertaining the conversation, I may say, well, have you considered, so what would be the current cash flow you're getting right there from that rough estimate? Oh, I'm making about $3,000 a month, Brian. Great. Well, have you considered maybe doing a 1031 and rolling it over into another property where you can increase your cash flow, especially now with the uncertainty that's going on? That's a good one to throw in, you know? Or have you considered just getting another property or pulling an equity line out of that property and getting another one, right? So I try to come in with different angles.
Ring, ring.
Hello.
Hello, Justin?
Yes,
Justin, I'm calling about 123 Main Street. You're the owner there, aren't you?
I am. Yes.
Awesome. Well, the reason why I asked, my name is Cammie Baker. I'm a real estate consultant. And, there are so many properties that are exchanging hands right now. People are buying and they're selling. And with you being an investor, I was just curious, are you looking to liquidate any of your property? Or are you looking to add to your portfolio?
Well, funny you called. We've had some challenges in the last couple of weeks where people are starting to not pay their rent, and we've had the property for quite a long time, and so we've got equity in it. So we actually have been thinking about putting it on the market.
Well, I'm sorry to hear about your troubles, but that's why I'm making these calls, because I know a lot of people are in your place. Now, do you have any other investment property, or is this the only one?
This is the only one.
Only one. So with that being said, and these folks not paying their rent, sounds like you might be open to a market evaluation to see what you can get these days.
Well, we have another real estate agent that we work with. So do you know Barbara Walters?
Justin, we all know 18 real estate agents. Of course, you know other agents, but a savvy businessman like yourself obviously is going to get more than one opinion. So, you know what? I don't mind. I'm actually going to be scheduling some appointments as soon as this social responsibility and social distancing has been lifted. I'm going to be in your neighborhood. I got a couple of appointments anyway. Why don't we set a time to get together? And that way you can at least get more than one opinion. Are you going to be available more in the morning or the afternoon when all this is lifted?
Those are good points. Usually the afternoon's better.
Okay. And then, I'd start asking some questions about the property. And so we're not role playing anymore. So the reason why I asked you, do you have other properties, is because a lot of the times people will just, you're having trouble. Well, let's jump right in there. But I want to ask you, do you have other properties? I want to build a little rapport. I want to, give you a little bit of a chance to be comfortable with me. I don't want to, put off Barbara Smith that Of course, Barbara. Everybody knows Barbara and everybody knows 18 agents, but you're a savvy guy. Clearly, you want to get more than one opinion.
Sure.
So it's about having a conversation. And remember, you are not on here, agents that are making these calls. You're not calling people trying to convince them to sell. You are digging through the dirt and the rocks to get to the piece of gold. You're not squeezing the rock to make it turn into gold. So asking enough questions to see if they're a piece of gold, great. If they are, make conversation. If they're not, next. So Justin, you own 123 Main Street. Tenants are having a little bit of problem with paying rent. Do you own some other properties?
Yes, we do.
You do. So you're one of those landlords who's had some success. Are you looking to add to your portfolio? Are you looking to do any liquidation?
No, not at this time.
Yeah.
Kind of ride things out.
Well, now anyone who owns multiple investment properties usually belongs to other investment groups. Are you part of the REIA, the Real Estate Investor Association?
No, I'm not.
You're not. Do you know any other investors, or who else do you know that are investors in the area that could use some really professional service to help them right now?
I can't really name any off the top of my head.
Well, you know what? I appreciate you taking my call, and you stay safe and healthy.
All right. Thank you.
In other words, I'm going to ask him for someone else. Now, we're in a role play, but usually people who have multiple properties, they do belong to the REIA, or they do have a group of guys that they meet for coffee to talk about electrical problems and tenant problems, et cetera. And usually he's going to say, yeah, I know a few people. And I'm just going to say, well, who do you know that could use my services? Because at least if I have him on the phone and he's at least been kind enough to talk to me, that I'm going to take it one step further and see if I can at least get a referral. And if not, no big deal. Like I said, we're not trying to squeeze him and force him to sell. We're just asking a simple question.
On a FSBO or an expired, and most of those calls are made by our inside sales associate, we're acknowledging that the market is kind of crazy right now, and we're sort of asking if it's something, would they be interested in having any help from us, whether it's now or later, and we're sort of improvising that together. If we've had some communication from them but in the past, and we've talked to them, and we know they're a seller or we know they're a buyer, it really works this way. Hey, I'm doing a COVID-19 or a coronavirus follow-up call. Want to make sure you're doing okay. see if there's any way we can help you, and then opening the conversation of, hey, there are some people who still want to move forward in today's market. Not everybody does, and we respect that, and we help people figure out what to do if they're not comfortable. But if they do want to move forward, we help them move forward using our special procedures to make sure people stay safe in the process, virtual showings and whatnot. So we're just applying the same concepts in different ways to different prospects.
Basically, you're going down the LPMAMA, the Tom Ferry script, listing, price. So, location, listing. You're trying to figure out the area, the price. Okay, is this the price range that you're kind of looking in? A is agent. Do you have a commitment with another agent? I got that from Dirk Zeller. It's not, are you working with another agent? It's, do you have a commitment with another agent? Very different question. So what I'm saying is skills are so subtle, just asking a question like that. M is mortgage. Oh, okay, great. So you're in that price range. Are you going to be paying cash, or are you going to be getting a mortgage for this property? Open-ended question. Not, are you pre-approved? So the next is appointment. So, hey, is there a time this week where you'd like to go out and see some more homes? And then the last, which you can juxtapose all of these in different places. The last one is M, motivation. So what kind of time frame do you see yourself purchasing in? Right. So you go through that LPMAMA script. That's the script.
So is there anything I can do for them? And then finally, you care. You care about people, you care about activities, you care about them, you care about your community. Everybody, we got to get away from some of the things I'm seeing online, some of the memes, some of the self-serving stuff, hey, would you like to be quarantined in this house? That's not professional, everybody. That's not the image, in my opinion, that we want to convey in the marketplace. We want to be the experts. We want to communicate expert status. We want to communicate counsel. We want to communicate, the trends of the marketplace and what's the marketplace doing. Our job is to convey the facts of the marketplace rather than the emotions of the marketplace. Let me say that again, because that's really the key point here. Your job is to convey the facts of the marketplace, not just the emotions of the marketplace.
Yeah, it's super basic. So we have it on our letterhead. It's a high quality color copy. So it's color letterhead with black writing. It says hi, and then it's just blank. I noticed that your property at, and then there's a blank line, came off the market recently. Are you still interested in selling the property? Or would you be interested in selling the property to one of our qualified buyers? And then I sign it with a phone number. Give me a call give me a call or something. So it's super basic. It's only one letter, but we get a lot of calls off of it. And it's just a consistency of doing it and making the calls and attaching the two. And so when you're on the phone, you could say, I sent you a letter, so you can kind of attach the two. It's not rocket science. We've done letters. We've done 5 letter sequences. I've done, I did the Kinder Reese postcards, the 13 postcards, until like 12 agents in my market did it, and then it didn't work. So you might have to adapt and sort of shift what you do depending on what other agents are doing in your market. But direct mail it's always going to work. And we use a white envelope with handwritten, return address, not just with your home address and a first class postage stamp. It's opened 100% of the time.
They're going to know your name. You call and care about them, they're going to know your name. You don't have to remind them. So that's an easy call. But I've also had those calls that were like, hey buddy, just calling, checking in. I'm just trying to go through my friends and just, see how you doing. And then I hear, man, I lost my job and my wife left, or whatever. And you got to be ready to shift gears right then. And now you become a counselor, you know. And sometimes counseling is more about listening than it is talking. But you have to shift, and you have to be already bought in for what that could entail before you make that call. But right now, I'll tell you something. The most fulfilling phone calls that I've made have been the ones where people said, "I'm not good. You know, we're not good." And I was able to say, "Hey, let's talk about that. Tell me what that looks like." Well, he sent me home from my work with no pay, and I got 2 kids, and we got money, and I don't even know how to put groceries on the table, and I'll be like, "I do. I know where to go. Hang on." And we've helped people go get food. We've helped people make phone calls that they didn't know how to make to people that they owed money to say, "Listen, this is where we're at." We've helped people fill out forms for car notes that just says, "Hey, this is the money I've lost, and I cannot pay you, but I will." And they got 60 days. You know, I mean, is that real estate? No, real estate's what we do. This is who we are.